When I was driving by the lodges, I had a truck. Didn't do it. Back or yeah, he's down the hill like this. I get the truck stuck in that truck.
I'm actually, after I print these, I'm actually just gonna probably stay over here. Because I feel like it would be more beneficial.
You got her back there here. Is that the finish?
That's actually, but that's just the month. Yeah. So we had common area net revenue for the month of December 2025. That's only the profit loss. Here, we're here to year to date.
But that, okay.
And it worked great, but moving down,
I don't need that.
but I
Right.
and it was perfect.
Hi, Larry.
Hi there.
Hi, Larry.
Good morning.
That's right. Morning.
We got me down here about trouble.
Yeah.
Possibly, that is no decision. No, about finance decision.
Good.
I need binoculars. I bet you did this in school too.
Oh, glasses. Hearing
Glasses.
aids. Glasses and hearing aids.
Yeah, I'm sure that's
Lose your glasses, you can't find your hearing aids.
Yeah, I know where they're at.
And that, we're on the floor for 10 days and, we're leaving like the night.
How are you?
Yeah, we may still be on the air as well. But it's not.
Oh, she's really helpful.
Oh, yes, yeah, that's part of it. Projects. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we see a lot of stuff. So that's.
Did you have Carrie do your driveway?
We actually just finished ours, but he did cut off the street out of the
He said he had to shut up. I said, well, you were. Cedar Ridge. So I didn't even talk. I said, I didn't shut up. And I shut it enough to get out. But I last year.
I want to say 7. German state. So dangerous right now. So dangerous right now. You gotta be out of
Some of them blow that.
right side of the fire.
So I gotta go try Tractor Supply, so mine is in my app. And Mac Power it's too late this year anyway, but I've already started researching.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. I want to thank you all not only for coming out tonight, putting up with us tonight with the reschedule. Anyone here for the first time tonight? Okay.
Physically or mentally?
And first order of business is to review the minutes from the individual meeting.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's approved. Okay, so we'll move right on to the general manager report. It's all yours, Bill.
Okay, yeah, as you know, we got 2 that are out today, and Jeremy issued his proxy to Terry, and Lenora issued her proxy to Nicole. And, so into the report, the bridge work at the main entrance is complete. Look, I think it looks great. And, we don't anticipate any future closures. Kay Ann Lafee, our activities coordinator, resigned this month to pursue an opportunity at the Hilton Convention Center. During a time with us, Kay Ann proved to be a valuable asset to the community, and her contributions will be missed. But despite her departure, we will remain committed to move forward with activities and community events. This year, we want to continue several of the standard events. including but not limited to new member socials, community garage sale, Christmas party, and ladies fashion show. Decisions need to be made this winter on how to proceed with hiring to fill this position. The first community event is the Easter egg hunt, and it is on April 5th. Easter's early this year, earlier than last year. I'll be reaching out through the newsletter to see if owners are interested with preparation or helping the day of. I've already secured some volunteers to help the day of, but we'll still see if we have any owners or residents that want to assist in preparation for day of. We're also planning 2 new member socials and need to secure a date for the ladies fashion show, as well as rethink the owner Christmas party. The early feedback, which I'm sure most of you have already, shows a desire to bring back full band, lower the price, prepare the food in-house rather than catering through a third party, or rethink it altogether. We expect financial improvements in the grill this year, but want to focus on better serving the residents of Stonebridge Village. So we reviewed several new offerings, price points to support this goal, including including a full-time return of patty sausage in February. And we are going to launch French Toast Thursdays beginning February 5th on a trial basis to gauge interest and operational impact. We're also exploring Friday night offerings and a potential adjustment to pizza pricing and portion sizes. But most importantly, we're working, we meaning the administrative staff, and more importantly, the grill staff, together to create a welcoming, more enjoyable atmosphere for the residents. That's the focus right now. So the third thing I have is Andrea Marstall has been awarded the Community Manager of the Year by the Heartland chapter of Community Association Institute. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, it is, it is.
And the award honors outstanding community management professionals who demonstrate exceptional leadership, operational expertise, and dedication to the communities they serve. So that's good. We'll put something in the newsletter recognizing Andrea, but I wanted to do it in the meeting too. And then finally, probably most important, is today is Eric Fusion's birthday. Is it today? Yeah. We thought everybody forgot. So that's all. Oh, and Johnny's not going to be here. He's sick for the ACC, so I'll be reading his report.
You want to just go ahead and do that?
Yeah.
While you're up there.
Yeah, I'll bring it up on my. See. I don't know if he texted it to me or emailed it to me, but I think it was a text. Okay, the ACC didn't have much this last meeting. We approved a landscape decorative fence barrier to keep dogs and animals out of bushes. We met with Mr. Collins' attorney on him finishing his garage. We also inspected and sent them a punch list of what needed to be done before it was finished. Several violation letters for trailers, dogs, and yard maintenance were sent. There was no construction checks in January, and the construction checklist will be updated in February.
Thank you.
I do have one question, Bill. Did the Eastgate get finished roofed?
It did, but the antenna still is not up, and they had to install some trim pieces, so those still need to be stained.
Okay.
What about during the day, you couldn't see the roof, snow cover?
As long as it's not wet outside, it's doing its job.
I just came in the Eastgate, it really looked good.
Yes.
Oh, is the snow off of it now?
Yeah,
It melted?
it melted off, it really looks good. But as long as it took them and they had to shut that, how are they going to do the west gate?
So the west gate, so that was a good trial for them, because if you remember, we didn't go with the company that did the other snow-coated steel. So the fabrication was really what took them most of the time that they had prepared for. Because it's this very small roof and they had to make a bunch of cuts and make things fit. So we've talked about that, and I've set up a map for them, and they claim that they'd be able to adhere to it. One, they don't think it's gonna take a full work week, now that they know how the pieces need to be fabricated. But the second is there's enough room behind the guard shack for them to put their dump trailer. And the initial plan right now, unless they come up with something that is less intrusive, is to shut down the one lane that goes on coming in, that goes right beside the guard shack, and feed everybody coming in through the far lane, and keep the exit lane open with their dump trailer and their workspace being the area directly behind the guard shack. It's about 40 feet wide behind the guard shack, and comes down to like a point. You can see there's paint on the road kind of there. And that goes about 100 feet back.
But at some point in time, we'll have to shut down the exit, won't they?
I don't think so. Not in what I've discussed with Jaden from Plumley. He thinks that'll work. They can do the tear down. They'll just have to be careful with the tear down and get that into the dump trailer, use that in the back area, use that back area as a workspace and a means to access the roof up and down. So it won't be as easy for them, but we'll definitely be able to keep it open. And, you know, they realize how much traffic we have after being here for a while too.
Will it take them as long, you think?
They don't think it's gonna take them a full work week, but now that they know what to expect.
What was the anticipated start date for that?
We don't have one now. We were gonna get together after the winter storm and come up with a date.
Thank you. Eric, happy birthday, and it's all yours.
What a way to finish your birthday.
I bet they'd sing happy birthday over karaoke.
Whatever you like.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Harry. Happy birthday to you. Happy
Red is a good color.
What's that?
Red is a good color.
I can't hide it. Okay, so we reviewed December 2025 financials really, and after I printed and color coded, I just figured we'd actually kind of do an aggregate year end. So normally we're on the left-hand side, middle column. I figured we'll just make notes for the right-hand side, middle column, and just do a year-to-date aggregate and kind of highlight how we did and highlight some things that we have moving forward for 2026. So we'll be in the right-hand column, middle side. That's year-to-date actuals. And start at the bottom line, of course. For the year-end 2025, you can see we posted a net loss of $7,616. It was $170 better than our budgeted net loss of $7,786. So we came about really close on budget. Certain things counterbalanced others, but we'll get into that. So go to the top of that right-hand side, middle column. You can see total common area revenue came in at $3,304,909. That was $14,141 better than the budgeted figure of the $3,297,068, which is in that right-hand column. A couple aspects worth noting within common area revenue. You're not going to see this exactly in the detail. It's kind of embedded in those numbers. But room rental fees were up 48% in 2025. They totaled $59,218 compared to the $31,205 in 2024. So that was a contributing factor, which you can see really within activities and facility fees. Nightly rental fee revenue stayed current with last year at $313,826 collected. That comprised really 21,547 check-ins that we handled at the Welcome Center. If the check-in rate stays the same, with the $5 per night fee going to $7 per night in 2026, we should add another roughly $125,000 in revenue to that nightly rental fee revenue line, thus potentially bringing nightly rental fee revenue, I feel like I'm saying that a lot, to $430,000 to $440,000 range. So it will contribute in 2026.
If you move down to total common area expenses, you can see we recorded $3,163,271 in expenses over the 2025 year, compared to budget expenses of $3,173,002. Therefore, common area with its multiple departments were basically $10,000 favorable to budget. Lost my place. Here we are. One aspect pertaining to 2026 is we should see, kind of as Bill mentioned, a possibility of recreation expenses coming down. We did have Kay-Ann Lafee that kind of left her position for a better opportunity, at least within her eyes. She was the owner activities coordinator, and depending upon what that position looks like moving forward, obviously it's not filled now. We don't exactly know when it will be. I know we look to fill it, and whether that's full-time or part-time, we could see some expense savings there too. So just something to look forward there. And so therefore, if we get down to common area net, the higher revenue and lower expenses permitted common area net to come in at $141,638 to the positive, which was $23,872 better than our budgeted figure of the $117,766. Moving down to golf. Golf department posted total revenue of $2,044,078 for the 2025 year. For reference, in 2024, the golf course played 25,127 rounds, bringing in revenue of $2,013,170. Whereas in 2025, rounds were down from 2024. There was 24,289 total rounds played, so 838 less rounds played, but generated $30,908 more in revenue. And something we have coming up in the 2026 year, which some may be privy to, others don't, just depends on kind of what committees you're in. The golf course is going to be switching to a demand-driven pricing strategy, which in theory should maximize revenue potential for the number of rounds played. It's a common practice kind of in multiple industries that's proven to be beneficial. So we'll see how it turns out in 2026 for us. If you go down to pro shop expenses for the year, you can see we recorded $615,818. This figure was $38,200 better than our budgeted figure of $654,018. The golf course maintenance department held a similar trajectory of coming in under budget, where they recorded total expenses of $1,281,182, which was $49,435, better than the budget figure of the $1,337,17. So therefore, if you go down to golf course net, that came in at a positive $147,078, which was $41,414 better than the budget figure of the $105,664. So a decent year in golf, and hopefully a better year in 2026. Going down to townhome, we can briefly discuss a couple items there. You can see townhome recorded a net loss of $33,963. The majority of this elevated loss was because of irrigation repairs. Many repairs were made in the 2025 season to the system that included updated backflow valves, control valves, replacing main boxes, and installing master valves on the 5 meters that actually served 44 townhomes. Ryan Lawn and Tree will be taking care of the irrigation this next year with the repairs made. Currently, we're hoping the irrigation is more consistent, the lawns more lush, and the leaks minimized, creating a better experience for Cedar Ridge homeowners in the 2026 season. And then finally, we arrive at food and beverage. You can see food and beverage recorded revenue of $971,879. This figure was $83,882 lower than the budgeted projections of the $1,055,761. Much of this lower revenue can be found in the lower member participation as member discounts. You can see for the 2025 year comprised 7.1% of sales, where in 2024 member discounts comprised 9.3% of sales. So that's a majority difference, I'd say. One aspect worth mentioning in the food and beverage department compared to 2024 is in the 2025 year, the food and beverage department did run $126,000 less in payroll from the previous year. If that part of the operation is held static in the 2026 year, while making continuous improvements to menu offerings and the quality of items offered, while also not having the expense of a food and beverage consultant, the food and beverage operation should be able to make increasing gains and realize a lower net loss into 2026. So we'll see if that transpires. One addition for the 2026 year is offering a 10% discount as well to nightly rental guests that show their amenity pass to the grill staff. To say that this process was implemented with the prospect of increasing demand for this coming year, 2026. And I can also say that within the month of January, mind you, it's one of our slower, if not the slowest months, we're already seeing some of that traffic and we're seeing sales recorded. So it is driving a little bit more volume in one of our slower months already with the first month out. So as traffic picks up, hopefully we'll see that activity pick up and it can increase the revenue and hopefully cause a lower net loss for the bottom line. For the year, food and beverage posted a net loss of $134,846. That was $4,698 worse than our budgeted figure of the $128,148. And really, that's all I've got for kind of 2025 year, just cumulative and kind of a few different things that we've got planned in each kind of different area or department that should prove a little bit more beneficial for 2026. Any questions for 2025 income statement? Just kind of go back to the balance sheet just real quickly. Left-hand side, kind of top, you can see that we ended the year with $1,193,386 in cash. This figure was $243,000 better than December 2024 year-end cash. However, I will say that at year-end, we did have 3 projects on the books, of which 2 were in the process, which we discussed, the structural work on the bridge, which has been completed, didn't really get completed until January, so we didn't get the bill in 2025, but we do have it now. And also the roof projects got started, but not completed, so we didn't have that bill in 2025. And we did commit to the pavilion pool retaining wall that we know we have to fix up there. So we do have those 3 projects on the books coming definitely in the first quarter of 2026. And those projects total about the $225,000 range in capital outflows. So you will see cash reduce here somewhat. So even though it's a little bit bigger balance now, but on that, we're in a good position.
Eric, where did the consultant's fee come in the?
The consultant's fees, actually, you're not going to see it with its, if you go into food and beverage expense back on the food and beverage expense line, I mean, which is underneath gross profit and the food and beverage expense, that's all the expensive itemized expenses, payroll.
So it's in the, which part, cost of sales?
No, food and beverage expense. So, I mean, for year-to-date, food and beverage expenses were $724,653, but that's not itemized detail, I should say.
That's, my question though is, if that expense wasn't in there for 26, then it should look a little better.
Yes,
Okay.
you would, I mean, I can give you the figure if you want.
No, that's fine, I just
But
wondering where the consultant.
it would significantly reduce the net loss, I should say, because you don't have the expense of whatever the consultant fee is on a month-to-month basis. And he's not planning, I know there's no plans for him to be here, so that's where holding everything static while continuously improving offerings and quality and value. Removing him from the equation, you're going to have less expenses and therefore better net loss. If we can also drive more volume, if member participation does still stay down, offset it with the night rental guest discount and create more top line revenue, hopefully we can reduce that amount even more. Hopefully we can get member participation back to what it was.
As long as we can maintain our employee expenses.
Yeah, and that's holding everything static, I mean, there was procedures set in place at least from back house to front house. And so definitely on the staffing is where we saw most of the gains. Like I say, there was $126,000 less in payroll in 2025 from 2024. So that was a big gain. But then you didn't realize all of that because there was also the consultant fee on the expense line just as well. But there was a significant decrease in payroll. So.
How much is the increase in the minimum wage at the state level going to impact the grill in particular?
The grill in particular, I mean, the minimum wage went up to $15 in 2026. It's the last mandated increase that they have. Really, payroll, back of house, everybody's above that level, I should say. And then on the front of house server side, you're only mandated to pay 50% of what minimum wage is, just concerning with tips or gratuities, they've got at least equal up to that $15 an hour wage, and if you don't, you have to bring them up to it from a payroll standpoint. But we're bringing in people at less dollar amount than what we used to, simply because of that service charge. We didn't have as much turnover, I should say, at least in the front of house, or really in the back of house as much, but in the front of house as we've experienced in previous years. The employees that did stay here worked throughout the season, whether the ones that are still here part-time and full-time, or even the seasonals. They really stuck with it because they were actually seeing the benefits of the service charge on their paychecks.
You don't think there's gonna be too much of an impact then?
No, I mean, you're gonna have minimal increases in payroll, based upon performance evaluations and various things like that. But we're not really necessarily mandated, since we're above that threshold, and the servers are making more than enough money if you divide their gross wages by their hourly, that they come in at a good hourly rate that we don't have to adjust there.
Plus, if we keep our turnover ratio down, your expenses are gonna stay down, because we're not
Yep.
constantly hiring and training and leaving, training.
Hiring, training, yeah, and hopefully your
That's
season ones
expensive.
can take
Yeah.
more volume just as
Right.
well and uphold the experience. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of, restaurant, there's a lot of variables that move.
Yeah.
And that's probably the highest turnover rate of most industries.
Sure.
I have to look it up, but it's a highly,
Especially in a tourist environment.
Have we figured out whether or not they're gonna be eligible for no tax on tips, or is that?
yeah, so that actually went into effect. They can get a deduction with their W-2s. And that's actually, so they don't get it on the service charge. That's actually just because it's not voluntary. It's involuntary, it's prescribed at the time of purchase, but anything that's additional gratuity that is voluntary, additional gratuity on top of the service charge, that's what they get to deduct for a tax deduction.
But
There's also
not the service charge?
not the service charge, because IRS classifies it as to go into real wages, gross wages, because you don't have the choice actually to
That's
give it to
interesting.
So that's how it's classified. They're gonna make some adjustments on the W-2s for 2026. We already kind of had their gratuities separated off within the prescribed box for your tax deduction. There's also an exempt overtime deduction just as well, at 2025 that they can claim. We separate that off on the W-2s too. Next year they'll have a different format as they update.
Yeah.
Yes, that's two deductions that they have.
Do we have much overtime?
There's not as much, no, I didn't see as much come through. The departments did a pretty good job of balancing it out and not having to work extended amount of overtime. So, and really only the premium part of that overtime is actually tax deducted, but yeah, it was less than previous years.
Okay.
Good job. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Eric.
Now, under old business, we're going to revisit the handicap parking placements, as we've discussed at least twice before. At the last meeting, we tabled that to get some input from people who use the handicapped, parking spaces. And Bill has spoken with a couple people who use them, and in their opinion as users, what we have right now is more than sufficient. Okay.
Because now that I'm handicapped,
Here, I got another one.
and because of my back issues, that hill up to there is extremely hard for me to get up and down. And so having a couple, they're having an area closer that's flatter makes more sense to me. And I don't have the privilege of somebody that can drive me, drop me off at the door, and they go park the car and then they walk down. It's me. And so it is not adequate. But that's me.
Well, I asked Peg, and she's also handicapped, but she can't walk very far, and she said it's a lot easier for her to walk from down in front than it is facing that side deal up in those other. A lot of times I just drop her off, but when she has to come over on her own, she'd rather park down in front if she could.
Yeah, I walked it tonight. I walked it last week. I walked it tonight too, and I have a handicap there. And, I think it is easier to walk in from the area out there.
Up on the hill there?
No,
Oh,
from down below.
Yeah.
I think it's actually easier. Cause you can get over to the walkway and then just walk up, it's flatter. The one that comes is probably easier. Overall. But you're not gonna have vans parking there.
okay, what?
Van parking.
Right.
You have to have individual handicaps there.
No, yeah.
Van parking up on top.
Yeah, I think we'd have to leave the top half of the portion of our current handicap parking
Because
available. We can maybe, we keep the whole thing or do away with the second portion, the portion that's farther back. And then also, I didn't know too, because it's still uphill, but it's gonna be easier, it's easier to walk. Would it be, reasonable to look at the two that are, on the side door entrance, closest to that? I mean, it's still an uphill walk, but you got a rail, once you get off the parking lot and start coming into the side entrance where it comes in, you know, just on the side here, above the tennis courts.
Isn't there steps?
No steps to the upper, to get into the upper
No
level.
steps, okay.
And so it's a ramp sidewalk with a rail and one curb to step over.
And then you have to go from the back door to the elevator.
Right, so I don't know if that's even beneficial at all. I mean, at least it's a flat track, but it's a longer distance.
Now, you're also gonna have veterans parking down there too.
Yeah, so, and that's part of what, you know, taking over some of what KN had worked with. I didn't get approval for the signs there, but yeah, there's, or give approval for the signs that they selected. But yeah, so there'll be veteran and or Purple Heart down there too.
How many will it be for veterans? One or two?
We've got one Purple Heart parking sign and one veteran parking sign.
How many are there? 6, 5?
I have that, aerial. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So you have 3 handicaps, 2 veterans.
2 vets, 3 handicap, and you would leave the van accessible handicap on the, where the existing is. If you guys want to look at that, that's just the aerial.
Bill, what are you talking about that there's a ramp?
Oh, here.
That's sidewalk, the exposed aggregate sidewalk that leads on the side of the building. It doesn't get you over the curb though. You still have to traverse the curb.
Oh, you're talking about not going down the steps, but going around?
Yes.
Oh,
Well, not around, before you get to the steps. To enter in the building on the upper level that exits out toward the tennis courts and the upper parking lot above the tennis courts.
well, there's still steps there. I just came down that way.
Well, if you're gonna come down to the lower level area, your steps will be on the inside.
I came down to the upper level area and then came in and then came down.
And then came down, yeah. So they'd have to walk all the way through the facility to the elevator and then down from there. Or go to the garden.
And if there's an event, ta-da.
Yeah.
Unless there's an event.
Just theoretically, you have 5 spaces out there right now.
Mhm.
You're gonna give 2 over to veterans, 1 Purple Heart, 1 regular. Would that allow enough room with the remaining 3 to be split into 1 van accessible handicap and 1 regular handicap? I don't remember the dimensions.
It could be, I don't remember the dimension, it may be listed on that aerial sheet what the dimensions need to be. I'll go back and look. If it's, 3 feet probably, if it's 4 to 6, something like that, probably not. But we can look at it.
Or alternatively, use the 2 at the right-hand side as you're looking at it for the veteran-related parking. 3 handicap at the left side, leave the van accessible handicap where it is. As long as that is compliant with all the regulations, under the ADA, go that way. We'll have closer parking for the people that want it. We'll have the veterans parking and we're still compliant.
Okay. That's fine.
I thought originally we were talking about one one, veterans parking, but we're looking at two now.
Looking at one reserved for combat wounded Purple Heart and the other for veterans parking only. These are the three signs that that I believe the group that KN was meeting with had come up with.
You got a lot of veterans here. Popular spot.
It's hard to prove you're a veteran though, on your car, unless you have a veteran's tag, yeah.
I don't think somebody can park in there.
Or a hat.
They do. it.
There you go, you need to have.
Well, Walmart, yeah, I can believe that, but I don't think here they would.
Now, is there a motion to go with the alternative as outlined?
I move, so move, can we go with the alternative?
There was a motion, do I have a second?
I second. Your motion was that we have 3 regular handicap spots down below with the 2 veterans.
Yes.
Okay, I second that.
Okay, any further discussion on the board?
Thank you for letting me be self-serving.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's the way we'll go, 3 handicapped and 2 veterans related in this first box. The next item under old business is also one we revisited a couple of times with the request for additional security lighting on Stevens Lake. At the last meeting, we left it that Bill was going to run a survey for the residents of Silver Lake, gauge how many people really want more lighting, how many don't. Well, I believe there were 24 people we tried to contact, and came back with,
So, yeah, the survey was, there's 26 residents up there, or 26 individual units, structures, owners. And the email was received by 22 of the 26. So there were 4, of the 4 that were not received, 1 has no email address in the system, and the other 3 hard bounced.
and of those, 6 came back saying yes to more lighting, 8 were no, and 4 were uncertain. So at this point, there's not a clear majority, but the plurality says they don't want additional lighting. And I think we, can just shelve that whole idea until somebody else comes up, and things change up there with new owners, whatever. Do we have a motion to that effect?
I have a question. I have a question for Bill. And I don't remember what your survey showed, but you also said that in the next entry, you had a security light request at Forest Lake Drive too. So you're gonna be discussing that as well, right?
Go to second.
Forest Lake and Beechwood would be separate.
Forest Lake Drive, and you said Beechwood, or is it?
It should be Beechwood,
No, it's not Beechwood, but
I mean Black Forest.
Black Forest. Anyway, the reason I'm asking about both of them is because it says security light request. And it's been brought to my attention that a security light is a lot different it's a lot brighter than a street light. So did we ask them about a security light or did we ask them about a street light?
Well, so the street light or security light that we're putting in that we were asking about, I don't know you're talking about the owners or White River Valley?
The owners, I think you told me that there's 2 owners on Black Forest corner that didn't want a security light, but maybe was it a security
Yeah.
light or a street light that you were asking them about?
Well, I think street light, White River Valley Electric calls it security in the contract.
So it's the same.
There's some that they do at $11 and $30. The bulbs in them are the same. The cosmetic difference is the cosmetics is the main difference, at least according to Keith from White River Valley Electric.
So these are street lights and not security lights.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I think they use the term interchangeably, so, so that's new news to me, that there's a difference between security
Well,
streetlights and street.
I don't know, it just brought to my attention that there was, so
I can look into that if you would like me to.
Well, since that was brought up and now there's a question of the semantics, imagine we should table this for another month until we can get a clarification on what type of light is, perhaps the lumens in each, put off, and make a decision next month.
Okay.
And that may very well impact the next request for the security / street light at Forest Lake and Black Forest.
Well, I think that was what Larry.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
but I don't know what the survey showed. I think when you talked to me, Bill, you said there was 2 that didn't want the lights, and I said I didn't carry the way, but I would support the Grocers who made the request.
So with that corner there, I reached out to everyone that, because I got a phone call after the trench was dug in the correct spot. And with a lot of questions, and they didn't necessarily want to see a street light there or security light there. So I called everybody that had a structure within a 2-lot variance and just had a discussion rather than sending out a survey.
What was the conclusion?
2 said that they would like to see a light there, and 2 said they did not want to see a light
And the others were the vacant lots that didn't respond, right?
there. No, I didn't even call the vacant lots. I called anybody within a structure of a 2-lot radius of that intersection. Because I figured that's where you would see it from. Now, and I know, I don't know. I think part of the request was, because when guests come, they can't see where to turn and things like that. And I believe that at that meeting, you asked if, just lighting the sign would help. And, I don't know where that discussion went, but we have looked into, some either solar powered or battery powered lights that could go onto street signs if they want to. If that was gonna get voted down, we wanted to eliminate the sign.
Well,
And that's what I think you brought up originally.
it was originally brought up by the Grocers who were asking about it, right?
They were asked about the street, they asked about the street light, but I thought you were the one that brought up the idea of just lighting
I
the
said,
sign.
well, maybe you could just light a solar light for the street. And the Grocers are here, so maybe we could hear whether they're still interested.
So, yeah, I think the semantics, it's just semantics, but I think when it's proposed as a street security light versus a street lamp, I think the people that may have been asked about being a security light, I wouldn't want one either. Because then you're looking at a direct light onto something that's securing an area. But a street lamp is a low wattage light, it just kind of puts an area light, and it probably goes maybe 50 feet circumference of the light pole, just to light up that little area, that intersection, that's all. Like the rest of them that we have in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's all.
And I know that I can tell you with the 99% certainty when I talk about it with the residents that call them street lights. But did you remember when I called you what I was referencing?
I don't recall. What you call it. But your main concern was that people could not see the sign.
Well, it just makes for a dark intersection. It's not so much the sign, but it's a dark intersection. And if a person is wanting to turn, say, to the east off of Forest Lake onto Black Forest, that's a steep road going down, and you really can't see it. Same as going to the left off, onto Black Forest. It's just a dark area. And it's like I said, what brought it to my attention was the fact that if you look throughout the rest of the neighborhood, in the second phase of our neighborhood, we've got these street lamps, I'm gonna call it a street lamp, at all these intersections, but it stops at Fox Hollow. We've even got it up at Beechwood and at Black Forest. We've got them all at the intersections. There's actually one at, the one that's at Fox Hollow and Black Forest, it's sitting so far up somebody's yard, it's not even advantageous to the road. You know, it's probably 30 feet from the road into the neighbor's yard if you look at it. But it just stops right there. Then the rest of the neighborhood's going up. I'll take that back. There is one up beyond Meadow View, I think. Mountain View.
No,
There's another light up there, I think,
Looks soft.
where there's nothing at all. It's just kind of odd that there wasn't one place. That's all. And it's not, listen, if it's an issue and it turns into a battle, I don't want a battle or a fight, and it's not worth it. It's just something that I think that just left incomplete for the neighborhood is all.
Well, a street lamp to enhance the safety, not only the area in general, but that specific turn that you mentioned, that would be something we hadn't really looked at that closely. And to make it safer, if you can do a lamp similar what we have for, what'd you say, $11?
$11 a month.
Yeah,
That's kind of-
that seems like a minimal amount to invest to make what could be a bad situation better.
Well, and we are gonna be, more homes are being built up in there, and eventually more homes are gonna be built down, for Black Forest as you go to the east. And which is, again, that's a steep road going down, and it's rather a steep embankment coming off the road at that corner, if you remember right, Bill. It kind of drops off pretty quick, so it just kind of puts a danger to that turn, that's all.
Well, I think going forward, we ought to call it a street lamp,
Street lamp.
period. Because that's what I assumed it was. I didn't really get into the particular name of it. I just assumed it was a street lamp like the rest of the
I felt the
community
same
has.
way.
is it $11 per lamp?
Per month.
Per lamp.
Per lamp, per month. There are also some that are $30 per lamp per month. And the difference is just the aesthetics of them, but I don't know if they're even doing the $30 anymore. We've got 2 different contracts with them, and they tell me it's just aesthetics is the only difference.
Can I see that, Mike, in a minute? Since, it's a tie at Black Forest and Forest Lake Drive, 2 and 2, I would, and for safety reasons, I would make a motion that we go ahead and put a street lamp there at that corner.
I would probably second it for safety purposes and to keep it consistent with the rest of Black Forest or whatever along the street is.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any additional discussion on the board?
I have a question. Does that mean we should look at other streets going up Black Forest that don't have any illumination?
So it's a mystery on that. Before, and it's all documented. I believe we discussed it before COVID, which was before 2020 then, right? We've got the map of the village. We have, that identifies where all the street lamps are. And where they're not, and they're installed everywhere where they had an initial plan. So a few years back, sometime before COVID, we decided rather than going through and establishing where we wanted to put streetlights, we would wait until they were requested by the residents. But that was, I said more than 6 years ago.
Well, and I don't think that's a bad plan for the mere fact that now we have a request and it's justifiable. So I think that's a good plan.
Why did the 2 people vote no?
The first one said, the one that called me was more concerned with light pollution because he likes to look up at the stars and doesn't want to look out and see the light.
Would it be shining in his house?
Not necessarily shining his house, just doesn't want to look out and see it.
Just for.
The second one said he didn't care and then called back and said he did because his wife didn't want one.
Happy life, happy life.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, go ahead and set it up to.
Get the trench dug.
Yes,
Get
we're
the
ready to
trench
go.
dug.
Moving on to new business, the ballot timeline, and I will let you take that, Bill.
Well, it's been presented, and I do have, if it's approved, I've got copies, and that can be distributed as soon as today, but really the ballot timeline, it establishes the annual meeting on the 18th, which is a week before Memorial Day. So it wouldn't fall on the fourth week of the month, or the fourth Monday. It would fall on the third, which we've been doing ever since we moved to Mondays. The election day would be 10 days prior. That's when the votes are counted, and that's based on the bylaws. On the 8th, Friday the 8th. Our deadline to receive the ballot would be Thursday the 7th, and we would need to determine by the February meeting, a nominating committee and an election committee, and then have final determinations from that committee done by March 3rd, which would give them a little bit more than a month to gather at least three applicants.
It's, a little ahead here, but anyone that's interested in being on either the nominating committee or the election committee, I'm not asking you to quit now, but if you're interested, let one of the board members know, let me know, let Bill know, so we can start compiling a list of people that are interested in the different committees.
Or if they want to run for the board.
Or if they want to run for the board.
Well, yeah, too, but let's get the cart before the horse, right?
No, we need people to do it before you
Well,
count the ballots.
and we need people to nominate them before. Yeah.
And we have how many board members that are, they're,
So this year we've got three that are exiting, Nicole, Jeremy, and Larry Sevier.
We have three members that their terms are up.
Or their terms are up, I'm sorry.
Doesn't mean they're
Yeah,
actually.
that doesn't mean they're exiting. Their terms are up.
because they can rerun, put their ballot in to run again,
If the nominating committee would have them.
if they will have
But they
them.
have to get back to nominating committee.
It's optional.
Okay, any further questions, or will we entertain a motion to accept this timeline for the annual meeting and the election?
I move that we accept the election timeline as presented.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that timeline is approved, Bill, and you can,
And since it's been approved, I do have copies that I'm gonna set, there's a table that everybody has to walk by when they leave. I'll set copies of that on there. It's just got the timeline, and it also has an application for membership on the back. Or application for, to run for the board on the back, board member application.
next up is the private car waiver proposal.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask Larry to take care of that.
All right. Well, private carts have been we passed a private cart policy, but it has some hooks in it. In fact, some of the members. And so we've been discussing this a little bit, it's the tires, the size of the tires. And we've come up with a motion So I'm gonna make here, but I want to give you the rationale for it first. The motion will recognize that current annual golf members have made a significant investment in private golf carts with 22-inch tires, which were previously permitted. Granting a temporary waiver will allow those members to continue enjoying the use of their carts without undue hardship, because those carts would cost someplace in the neighborhood of $800 to $1,000 to modify to be within specs that we now ask them to be in. This approach will balance the interest of the membership with the board's responsibility to maintain and implement private cart course standards and fairness for all current annual golfers. So the motion I'll make now is that for the golf year of 2026, the Property Owners Association Board approve the issuance of a once only 3-year waiver to all current annual golf members who have private carts that were active on October 27th, 2025, and equipped with tires measuring 22 inches in diameter. This waiver shall permit the continued use of such carts on the golf course for a specific period of time. The letter issued by the general manager is not transferable and will expire at the end of the 2028 golf year. That will give those golf carts time for 3 years. Tires are probably going to be worn out by then anyway. So hopefully it'll be close to it. So that's the motion I'm making to the board to consider. And we have a private cart waiver letter that I've drawn up this way. The waiver letter would show that March 1st of 2026, it would expire March 1st of 2029. It would have the annual golf member name, cart serial number, waiver permits the continued use of the current private golf carts that were active on October 27th, 2025, with 22-inch tires on the golf course for a specific 3-year period. The waiver applies exclusively to individuals who hold an active golf membership on the date the waiver is issued. That would be this year. The waiver is not transferable to other members or carts. At the conclusion of the 3-year period, all private carts must comply with the standards of tire size requirements as set forth by the board in the private cart policies.
I just have one question, Larry.
Yep.
But we need a second first, I'll second it.
Well,
No, you have to have a second before you can discuss it.
okay,
She seconded, so you can discuss it.
I'm sorry.
She seconded.
Okay, thank you, Nicole, keeping me straight. So it's a 3-year waiver. As of March 1st, 2029, they have to abide by the existing golf committee guidelines that have been put in place.
Right.
Correct? So not just the tires, if there's other things in there,
Yeah,
they have to
this is
abide.
only for tires.
This is only for tires? But what if there's other things that they have that don't adhere to the guidelines? I guess what I'm saying is, as of March 1st, 2029, they need a cart that abides by these golf guidelines.
Yeah.
Okay,
The guidelines in effect at the time.
that's correct. At this
And
time,
if the guidelines were modified, they would be expected to be
that's correct.
compliant with
That's
those.
correct, but I guess, and I'll give you an example, it's running boards. If they have running boards, they gotta come on by 2029. Okay, that's all I wanted to clarify.
And actually, running boards would come off now because running boards are not part of this waiver.
Okay,
This is just tires.
This is
Just
tire
tires.
size only.
okay. All right, we needed to clarify that.
Yeah, there's not very many people that are affected by this. There's only like 4 or 5, like I know of. So,
And only one of them has a running board.
yeah.
Well, and I guess I'm not even sure why we're at this point of having to do a waiver. I think the whole thing's kind of ridiculous anyway. 22-inch tires, 20-inch tires, those are 8 inches wide, and they go under the tunnel. I'm not even sure why we're doing it, but I guess now that
Well, 22-inch tires are specified.
I know, that's why I'm saying I'm not sure why they were ever specified, but now that we're we're having to do this waiver. I just want to get my 2 cents worth out there that I don't think it should have ever been required, but it is.
Okay. You're on record.
Okay, excuse me. There's a motion and second. Any further discussion amongst the board members? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. Anyone with 22-inch tires will have a 3-year waiver, and as of the 21st, or March 1st, 2029, they must be in compliance. Last thing, the board has been looking at a way to streamline the open forum session of this meeting. And one of the things that we talked about is having a system where questions to the board will be submitted prior to the board meeting in writing in order to allow the board to have time to research any topic that requires more time than we have right here and looking for information that isn't readily at our fingertips during these meetings. It'll give everyone the opportunity of knowing that their questions are being handled. They will appear on the agenda for the meetings, and whether you're here or not here, they will be discussed during that meeting. And hopefully this will, kind of prod people who don't want to come to the meeting and aren't comfortable with standing up and talking in front of everyone, to make their feelings known. We are working on a form that will be available on the website or in the office that can be filled out. Concerns and questions will fall into 3 categories that we have, plus an other. And
On the back.
yeah, I forgot to mention, the form will also be available for emailing.
Chuck? Chuck? When they submit these forms, they will get to discuss the issue when it comes up on the agenda instead of waiting to the end of the agenda. So like when we talked about street lights, instead of asking the DeRoches to comment, they could comment because that would be the new procedure
That's their topic.
and this sort of thing. So you don't have to wait until we've already made the motion, voted, and this sort of thing. Your opinion would be added right there before we take any action on it. So it really does help with transparency for what the board is doing.
It also primarily, is to get people to give us more input, but also, when questions come up such as street lamp versus street light, it'll give us an opportunity, or Bill an opportunity, to go out and clarify what we're talking about, so we're not tabling a thing for another month just to get a semantic issues to be resolved.
Did you get the three categories?
Oh,
Good.
the categories that your questions can fall into are a community concern, general observation, neighborhood issues, or complaints, request for board consideration, which is a suggestion for revising policies, projects you'd like to see, or community activities and initiatives. Questions for management, questions regarding rules, bylaws, why things are done, and then other that you can make up whatever you like. So any motion to adopt this?
I guess the other, just one last thing that we discussed, and I think it's true, is when you submit your form, you have to sign it and you have to date it. So we have to know who's asking the question. We don't want anonymous coming in, because to me, that goes in this pile. I want people who have a concern or have a question, and we want to be able to address it to that specific person and to the community.
And
Will there still be an open forum?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
yes, this is not to replace it, this is to enhance.
Yes.
This gets it on the agenda.
Yes.
This gets it on the agenda
Right.
at the beginning of the
There'll
meeting.
still be an open forum.
No, it's gonna be an open forum.
Yes.
Okay, and to Terry's question or comment, on the submission form itself, it states, please make sure and state your name and sign your submission. Unsigned submissions will not be accepted.
I'll make a motion that we accept the owner guide for sharing your voice.
I second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Well, does that include the form as well, approval of the form?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. The owner input submission form.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm gonna abstain.
All right. But the minutes reflect that Larry Severe abstained.
And this will go out in the newsletter also.
So got it, set to go in the newsletter, and it's, it'll be on the website tonight. And I also have copies
Okay.
that I'll put, if people want to take with them right now. On the front side, it's got, the guide for sharing your voice, where it talks about what's changing, how to share your input. And then on the back is the actual form.
And the motion is carried. And now, then we can segue right into the open forum. Anybody that has a question, comment?
I have a request. I'm Larry Tuckey, 829 Forest Lake. I know that there's been some proposals sent out for what the golf guidelines for golf carts have been sent out. Some of those were amended. Some of those we're not sure of. It's very confusing right now as to what the real rules out. I would really request that anyone that owns a golf cart or is a member, that you send out what has been approved finally, so we know what those are.
The approval is on the website under golf cart, private cars, right?
I believe so. I can get on there and look, but we can send
I
it
saw
out
it.
again too. Yeah, I think it's on the community page. So, maybe
But-
board meeting.
But you just amended it tonight, so.
No, I did not amend that.
We waive.
I put a waiver on it.
Maybe you
Most
wrote that,
people
okay.
have.
I'm just telling you, there's a lot of confusion out there as to what's acceptable. If, an email or a courtesy to folks that don't know that would be helpful.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
But I did not amend the private cart policy. I only put carts that have better than 20-inch tires on.
No, I agree. I'm not arguing with you. Whether I agree with it or not is immaterial. All I'm saying is there is some confusion as to what we saw, like for speed and that sort of thing, and height and all these sort of things, that one form sending out, telling everybody what it is would be appreciated.
Yep. Thanks, Larry.
And believe me, no one was more confused during this whole process as this board.
Wait a minute, you and I both.
Well, not all of it.
We could probably put it in the newsletter, Larry.
Yeah, that's fine.
You just want the information out there. You don't care if it's newsletter, email, or anywhere else.
Because there were several things, I'm not here to argue, I'm just asking.
No,
I don't think you're arguing.
No, you make a valid point. Anyone else?
just carry on. We have an architectural control committee, we have a finance committee, we have a golf committee. But after looking at the finances, the one place that continues to hemorrhage money on a yearly basis, we don't have a committee for. And I understand maybe there was a previous committee for food and beverage, and I understand, I don't know whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. Good, bad, or indifferent, I'm sorry. But I would recommend that we establish a formal food and beverage committee with established guidelines like the other formal committees we have to work with the food and beverage management and the Ledgestone leadership to help guide value-added changes to the grill. I know we have a lot of people in this community who have expertise in restaurant ownership, management, servers, cooks, business owners, and the list goes on and on that I think would be value added to a committee to help our grill. That's it. I just think we should have a committee for the one area that always comes up as a topic of discussion in just about every informal gathering you have with anybody, and that is a topic that goes on for 10 or 15 minutes about, oh, we could do this, we could try that, we think we should do this in the grill, but it never makes it to anybody who manages the grill or is in a position of affecting change. So.
Would you be willing to serve on?
I would consider that.
You have to do it.
Yeah, I don't know what we would have for volunteers, but there's a lot of people that I socialize with that have very strong opinions about the grill. Some of them come from the backgrounds that I mentioned, restaurant owners and managers. I'm not saying it's gonna change the world by any stretch of imagination, but I think it could help guide things to make it better for everybody. And as Bill mentioned, we want to make this a more positive experience for the homeowners and for the property owners here. And if we get the property owners involved in some of those decision making, then perhaps it could make it better.
Well, we
Thanks,
will,
Gary.
you will take that under advisement, and maybe the 6th or 7th iteration of this committee will be the one that works.
Thank you.
Okay.
Robert DeRocher, 355 Black Forest Lane. I brought that up about 3 months ago, an advisory committee to include the dining facility manager so that she was involved or they were involved. But it would be an advisory committee at the very least. I understand it was a committee that was set up years ago and it failed. It was brought back and it failed. But you know, I think we're in different times, and I think what the owners want today is more support from a committee that has a voice, I think. Because right now, I don't think there's a voice for the dining, I call it dining facility. There's no support or voice for the grill. An advisory committee or a committee of some sort would be that voice.
There's a lot of voices for the grill.
Oh, and repeat everything he said.
Thank you.
Anything further? Seeing nothing, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Next
we're
meeting.
adjourned.
Next meeting.
Thank you all for coming out and voicing your opinion.
And next meeting.
Oh,
Adjourned.
Next meeting will be February 24th.
Oh, yeah.
All right.